When I made the decision to move into a nursing home, I believed I was choosing security, comfort, and a better quality of life. My family reassured me that this was the best option. "You'll be well taken care of," they said. "No more cooking, cleaning, or worrying about your health." It sounded like a dream. Professional care at my fingertips, new friendships, and a worry-free existence. I imagined days filled with engaging activities, delicious meals, and a community of people who would make me feel at home. I truly thought I was making the right choice. But once I arrived, reality set in. The structured schedule dictated every part of my day, when to wake up, eat, and even go outside. The warmth of family visits slowly faded, replaced by brief phone calls and long, lonely hours. And the care? It wasn't what I expected. Overworked staff, delayed responses, and a sense of being just another number. The safety and ease I had been promised felt more like confinement. I had given up my independence for something I no longer recognized as home. I don't tell this story to complain, but to warn you. If you're considering moving into a nursing home, stop for a moment. Listen. Listen to the truth that no one is telling you, because once you're in, you may never be able to go back to your old life. Before we begin, I'd really appreciate it if you like this video. It helps me keep sharing more important lessons. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend hitting the subscribe button and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Also, if you enjoy this video, please comment 1. If you don't, comment 0 so I know how to improve. Now let's get started. At home, I lived on my own terms. I decided when to wake up, what to eat, when to go out, and how to spend my day. My time was mine, and every small decision made me feel in control of my life. But the moment I stepped into the nursing home, I realized how quickly that control could be taken away. Everything was dictated by a structured routine, one that I had no say in. Mornings were no longer peaceful or slow. Instead, I was woken up at a set time, even if I wanted to sleep in. Meals were served on a strict schedule, with no input on what was being offered. If I wasn't hungry or didn't like the food, my only option was to eat what was given or go without. Gone were the days when I could fix myself a snack whenever I pleased, or brew a cup of coffee in my kitchen. Even small pleasures like choosing my favorite breakfast were no longer mine to enjoy. But the real shock came when I realized how little control I had over my own movement. If I wanted to go outside for fresh air, I had to ask permission. If I wanted to take a short walk, I had to wait for someone to assist me. Even though I was still capable of walking on my own, the freedom to simply step outside when I pleased was no longer mine. I was on someone else's schedule, depending on others to approve what I could and couldn't do. And sometimes I was made to feel like an inconvenience. "We're short-staffed right now," they'd say. "We'll help you later." But later often never came. At home, I could decide to go out whenever I wanted. If I wanted to take a trip to the grocery store or visit a friend, I did. I had my independence. But inside the nursing home, leaving the premises wasn't simple. If I wanted to go somewhere, I needed permission, paperwork, and sometimes even a family member to sign me out. It felt like I was a child again, needing approval just to step outside. And worse, sometimes I was made to feel guilty for even asking. "It's safer if you stay inside," they'd say. "Why do you need to go out?" But they didn't understand. Going out wasn't just about running errands. It was about feeling like a person, not a prisoner. The loss of independence wasn't just frustrating, it was dehumanizing. I wasn't in control of my life anymore. I was no longer an adult making decisions for myself. Instead, I had become a resident, following the rules, waiting for permission, and adjusting to a world where I had no say. I never realized how much freedom I had until it was gone. And once it was taken away, I understood something no one had warned me about. Once you lose your independence, getting it back is nearly impossible. If you're still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment 2 below to let me know you're still here with me. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Loneliness and being forgotten. At first, when I moved into the nursing home, I wasn't worried about feeling lonely. My family assured me that they would visit often, and in the beginning, they did. My children stopped by with groceries or little treats. My grandchildren ran around my room laughing, and I felt like I was still part of their lives. I told myself that nothing had changed except my address. I still belonged. I still mattered. But as the weeks turned into months, the visits became less frequent. The calls that once came daily started coming only on weekends, then just once a week, and eventually only on special occasions. I would sit by the window watching the road outside, hoping to see a familiar car pull up. But most of the time, no one came. When I would call my children, I was met with apologies. "Mom, work has been so busy. I'll come next weekend, I promise." "Grandma, I have exams. I'll visit as soon as I can." The excuses piled up and I tried to understand. I really did. Life was moving forward for them, but for me, time felt like it had stopped. Each day felt the same. Routine meals, routine check-ins, routine loneliness. I started dreading the holidays the most. Before, my home had been the center of family gatherings. Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays. Everyone would come over, and the house would be filled with laughter and warmth. Now those celebrations happened elsewhere, without me. I would get a phone call, maybe even a video chat, but it wasn't the same. I wasn't sitting at the dinner table with them. I wasn't part of the stories, the memories, the moments that mattered. Instead, I sat alone, surrounded by other residents who also stared at the clock, waiting for visits that never came. The truth hit me slowly but painfully. When you are no longer part of their daily lives, you start to fade from their world. Not because they don't love you, but because life moves on. They get busy with work, kids, and responsibilities. They tell themselves they'll visit soon, but soon turns into weeks, then months. And for me, time didn't pass as quickly as it did for them. Every day felt longer. Every moment felt heavier. The worst part wasn't just the loneliness, it was the realization that I was no longer needed. When I lived at home, my family relied on me. I was someone they turned to for advice, for comfort, for help. But here, in this small room, I felt like I had been placed on a shelf, only to be dusted off when convenient. If you think moving into a nursing home means you'll always have company, think again. The world outside keeps going, and you're left behind, waiting for a visit, waiting for a call, waiting to be remembered. But the hardest truth? Once they get used to life without you, they forget you're still here. If you're still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment 3 below to let me know you're still here with me. Thank you for your valuable time. When I decided to move into a nursing home, one of the biggest reassurances from my family was that I would receive the best medical care possible. "You'll always have doctors and nurses around," they said. "If you need anything, help will be there right away." It gave me a sense of security, the belief that I would be in good hands, that my health would be a priority. But once I arrived, I realized that reality was far different from the promises. The first thing I noticed was how overworked and understaffed the facility was. The nurses and caregivers weren't neglectful. They were simply overwhelmed. There were too many residents and not enough staff to provide personal attention. If I needed help getting out of bed, I had to press a button and wait. Sometimes it took 10 minutes, other times 30 minutes or more. I quickly learned that unless it was an emergency, I had to be patient. And even then, emergencies didn't always guarantee immediate help. One night, I had unbearable back pain. I pressed the emergency call button, expecting someone to come right away. But I waited. 10 minutes, 20, 30. By the time someone arrived 40 minutes later, the pain had only gotten worse, and I was in tears. The nurse apologized, explaining that they had been dealing with a more urgent situation. I understood, but the thought haunted me. What if it had been something life-threatening? What if I had been having a stroke or a heart attack? Would they have gotten to me in time? Then there was the issue of medical attention in general. I had assumed that being in a nursing home meant frequent checkups and personalized care, but the reality was far from that. Doctors weren't always available. They had scheduled visits, and if you had a concern outside of those visits, you had to wait. Routine health monitoring happened, but not as often as I expected. If I had a new pain, a strange symptom, or a simple concern, I had to make sure I spoke up and insisted on getting checked. Otherwise, I would be overlooked. The medications were another frustration. At home, I had control over my prescriptions. I took them when I needed to, Here I was given my medication on their schedule. If I had a headache and needed something extra, I had to request it and wait. Some nights I needed a sleeping pill, but if I didn't ask before their scheduled rounds, I was simply told to try to rest and wait until morning. I had believed that moving to a nursing home would mean better health care, but in many ways it felt like I had less control over my own health than ever before. I wasn't a priority, I was just one of many. The hard truth is this: if you need immediate care, don't assume it will be there when you need it. And if you don't advocate for yourself, you might be forgotten. If you're still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment 4 below to let me know you're still here with me. Thank you for your valuable time. At first, the idea of having everything done for me sounded like a dream. No more cooking, no more cleaning, no more daily responsibilities weighing me down. I thought moving into a nursing home would mean enjoying a comfortable, stress-free life. And in the beginning, it did feel like a luxury. Meals were prepared for me, my laundry was done, my bed was made, and I never had to worry about chores again. But what I didn't realize was that comfort comes at a cost. Slowly, almost without noticing, I started becoming weaker, not just physically, but mentally as well. Back at home, I was always moving. I cooked my own meals, which meant I stood, chopped, stirred, and lifted pots and pans. I cleaned up after myself, bending down to pick things up, wiping down surfaces, and keeping my space in order. I went outside whenever I wanted, taking walks to stay active, even if it was just to get the mail or water the plants. I was independent, and that independence kept me strong. But once I entered the nursing home, all of that stopped. At first, I enjoyed the break. It felt nice to sit back and let others handle things. But soon I noticed something disturbing. My body was changing, and not for the better. Because I no longer had to stand and cook, I stopped using certain muscles, and my legs became weaker. Since I no longer had to clean, I moved less and less each day. Walking became something I only did when necessary, going to the dining hall, using the restroom, or attending an activity. And since I didn't have to go out to buy groceries or run errands, I spent more time sitting than I ever had before. Within months, my body began betraying me. My legs felt stiff when I stood up. My arms became weaker, struggling to lift even small things. My balance, once strong, became shaky. Tasks that had once been easy, getting out of a chair, climbing a small step, reaching for something on a shelf, suddenly felt like challenges. I realized that I was using my muscles less, and as a result, losing my ability to do things I had taken for granted. And it wasn't just physical. My mind also started slowing down. When you're active, you're engaged. You make decisions, plan things, problem solve, and keep your brain sharp. But here, there was no need to think ahead. Meals were scheduled, activities were planned, my daily routine was handed to me. I no longer had to challenge myself or make decisions the way I used to. I thought I was choosing a comfortable life, but instead I was choosing a life that was making me weaker every day. If I had known that less responsibility meant losing my strength and independence, I would have done things differently. Comfort is deceiving. It feels good at first, but if you stop moving, you start fading. And once you fade, getting back is nearly impossible. If you're still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment 5 below to let me know you're still here with me. Thank you for your valuable time. When I first considered moving into a nursing home, I told myself that if I didn't like it, I could always leave. I thought of it as just another chapter in life, one that I could rewrite if it didn't suit me. But the reality was much different. Once you move in, leaving isn't as simple as packing a bag and walking out the door. It's a decision that for many becomes permanent, whether they realize it or not. At first, I didn't think about the long-term consequences. I believed that if I ever changed my mind, I could return home. But what I didn't anticipate was that home wouldn't be there waiting for me. I had sold my house believing I wouldn't need it anymore. The home I had built over the years, the place where I had my own space, my own things, my own independence, was gone. And once it was gone, so were my options. Even if I had wanted to leave, where would I go? Renting a place would mean navigating leases, deposits, and monthly expenses that I was no longer prepared to handle. Buying a home was out of the question, not just financially, but physically. The process of moving, setting up a new home, and adjusting all over again felt overwhelming. I had already transitioned once, and doing it again seemed impossible. And then there was my family. Before I moved in, they had reassured me that this was the right decision. They had encouraged it, convinced me it would be better for me, safer, easier. But after a few months, when I told them I was unhappy, their responses changed. "Mom, you're already settled in," they said. "It would be too difficult to move you back out. Or worse, we don't have the space for you anymore." I suddenly realized that they had moved on. They had adjusted to life without me living nearby. My old home was gone, my room had been repurposed, and I was no longer part of their daily routines. The unspoken truth was clear. They weren't thinking about taking me back. Even if my family had agreed to help, I had another problem. I wasn't the same person I was when I first moved in. The time spent in the nursing home had changed me. I was weaker, slower, less independent. Simple things I used to do, cooking, running errands, managing a household, now felt overwhelming. The comfort of having everything done for me had taken away my ability to take care of myself. And that was the most painful realization of all. Even if I left, I was no longer capable of living alone. I had once thought of the nursing home as a temporary solution, a place I could leave if I wanted to. But once you're in, leaving isn't just about wanting to go, it's about whether you even can. And for many of us, by the time we realize we want out, it's already too late. If you're still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment 6 below to let me know you're still here with me. Thank you for your valuable time. If there's one thing I've learned from this experience, it's that moving into a nursing home is not a decision you can undo easily. I thought I was making a smart, logical choice, one that would provide me with comfort, safety, and community in my later years. I believed the promises, the brochures, and even my family's reassurances that this was for the best. But looking back, I realized I rushed into a decision that changed my life forever. And if you're considering it, I want you to think carefully, because once you lose your independence, getting it back is nearly impossible. I'm not saying all nursing homes are bad. Some people may genuinely need them due to health conditions, mobility issues, or a lack of family support. But what I wish I had understood earlier is that moving in isn't just about convenience. It's about giving up part of yourself that you may never get back. I underestimated how much I would miss the small freedoms of daily life. The ability to decide when to wake up, when to eat, where to go, and how to spend my day. I didn't realize how much control I would be handing over to others and how powerless that would make me feel. The biggest mistake people make is assuming they'll always have the option to leave if they don't like it. I thought that too. But what I didn't consider was how much my life would change once I was inside. My home was sold, my belongings were given away, and my family adjusted to life without me being around. Even if I wanted to leave, where would I go? And beyond that, after months of not having to cook, clean, or run errands, I had grown weaker, both physically and mentally. The things I once did with ease had become challenges. It wasn't just about wanting to leave. It was about whether I was still capable of living on my own. If you're still independent, hold on to that as long as possible. Explore alternatives before considering a nursing home. Can you modify your home to make it safer? Can you hire in-home care for assistance instead of moving into a facility? Are there community programs that allow seniors to stay in their homes longer? I wish I had looked at all my options instead of assuming this was the only one. And most importantly, don't let someone else make this decision for you. Family members often mean well, but they don't always understand what this transition truly means. They see it as a solution, but they don't realize the emotional, mental, and physical toll it takes. It's easy for them to say, "This is best for you," when they aren't the ones losing their independence. So before you make a decision that could change your life forever, think twice. Ask yourself, am I truly ready to give up my independence, or do I still have time to live life on my own terms? Because once you step into a nursing home, getting out isn't as simple as you think. Every person who moves into a nursing home has a different story. Some go willingly, believing they're making the best choice for their safety and comfort. Others are pushed into it by circumstances, health issues, family pressure, or the loss of a spouse. And some, like me, realize too late that what we thought was a solution was actually the beginning of a new struggle. If you've lived in a nursing home, or if you have a loved one who has, you already know the things no one talks about. The loss of independence, the quiet loneliness, the way the outside world moves on without you. You understand what it's like to sit in the room, staring at the clock, hoping for a visit that never comes. You felt the sting of hearing, "I'll stop by next week," only for next week to turn into next month. But maybe your experience is different. Maybe you found a place that truly feels like home, a facility that respects your independence, where the staff is attentive and where community life is engaging and fulfilling. If so, you're one of the lucky ones. Because for many of us, the reality of nursing home life is not what we expected. Share your experiences, advice for the elderly. I want to hear from you. If you're in a nursing home now, what has been the biggest surprise, good or bad? Did it live up to what you were promised? Have you found comfort in your new environment? Or do you long for the life you left behind? If you have a parent, grandparent, or friend in a nursing home, how has their experience been? Do you visit them as often as you'd like? Do they tell you they're happy, or do they hint at regret? Sometimes it's hard for family members to see the truth because they don't live it every day. They see a clean facility, friendly staff, and scheduled activities. But they don't feel the daily monotony, the loneliness that settles in after visiting hours are over, the quiet reality of being dependent on others for even the simplest things. This isn't just about one story, it's about all of us. Aging is something we will all face, and how we choose to spend those later years matters. Some people will say a nursing home is the best option. Others will insist, stay independent as long as you can. But real experiences, your experiences, are what matter most. So tell me, what's your experience with nursing homes? Have you or someone you love gone through this transition? Do you regret it? Do you wish you had chosen differently, or have you found peace and comfort in your new home? Let's talk about it, because the more we share, the more we can help others make the right choice before it's too late. Thank you for following us till the end. Don't forget to show some love by clicking the like button and subscribing. This supports the channel and allows me to continue creating content for you. Leave your thoughts or comments below. Feel free to express yourself and stay positive. See you next time.